Hi everyone, this is Susan Nance, and today we're going to be looking at our groundwater and the way humans influence our groundwater with the pollution and our North Carolina river basins. The topic today is, can you drink the water? It's based on the North Carolina Essential Standards, the EN.2.4.2, which is evaluate human influences on water quality in North Carolina's river basins, wetlands, and tidal environments. Um, when we travel to a foreign country like Brazil, Mexico, usually around the Dominican Republic, or even over in Asia or whatnot, the number one questions Americans ask: is it safe to drink the water? That's always a question, and they always say, "Listen, don't drink the water. You don't have the ice. Don't brush your teeth in it. It's not safe to drink." And we have to wonder, why is their water not safe to drink, but yet ours is? Today in the United States, we have more and more pollution with the population growth, with the population concentrations around major water basins, major water areas. Then we are starting to see the same problem as second and third world countries, as they are overpopulated, overdeveloped in these protected areas too, which created their problem. Now it's migrating to us and the methods of which we are doing things. Groundwater population is a culmination of many different things. We have the coal mining, the strip off, which is in the coal ash, which is big in the news now with Duke Power and their coal ash underneath the softball fields, underneath everywhere, underneath the ponds that they're having to clean up. We have the farms and everything that have the waste lagoons that are dumping out into these waste ponds. We have pesticides and fertilizers, which most of us, if we own a home and have property, are guilty of this in some degree, as we put weed and feed and we kill all the flowers and all the unwanted species of plants that we have. Our landfills, gasoline stations. We have oil spillages and our gas tanks to our old leak and everything. The old oil wells in our homes, they leak and create this seepage into the ground. Industries dump waste into the water. We see the big thing of Gen-X at present in our area of really just polluting the water and without regard of where it's ending up. People flushing medications such as the narcotics or any medication really always go into a sewer system. They either go into our septic tank that do seep out into our aquifers, or they go into a treatment facility, which ultimately goes back into the environment as well. De-icing the roads. You see, just everything we do around is an unconscious um, act that we do. We don't even think about the consequences of what we're putting into the ground, what we're putting on top of the ground, what we're doing in the water. The more and more boats, and I have a boat, so and I have had one for over 20 years, so I know, seeing the boat population increase, seeing the pollution that's left in the water with the increase of dogs and everything else, I can see the problem, and it's something that we can resolve and still enjoy our environment, but it is definitely there and increasing. The creeks are closed of shellfish and everything else, but anyway, these are our sources of our groundwater pollution. As we move forward, like I said, the factory industrial waste, dumping of the byproducts such as Gen-X, the fertilizer products, the off gases of the waters. The nuclear plant has superheated water that they go around, they loop to cool in Southport. The fuel tanks, the spills, old oil furnaces in New Hanover County and throughout the nation used to be into the ground. Well, over time, especially in our acidic environment, they have a tendency to corrode and start rusting. New tanks are put in, or either different heating sources or anything, and these old tanks are abandoned, never emptied, and never cleaned out. So they just seep into our aquifer. Pesticides, fertilizers, and pet waste. North Carolina has a tremendous number of basins. A river basin is simply the area of ground surrounding a water source that pools together. So everything, say for example, you are living close. I live close to Wrightsville Beach and Middle Sound. I actually live across from like Figure Eight Island, so the waterway. So anything I put on the ground here, if it rains or it seeps through the earth, it goes straight to the waterway, which straight to the ocean, which is a major cause of pollution and concern. So you have to be quite careful of what you use. In order to illustrate this, I think one of the best things I've done or thinking in a classroom is getting simple products just to illustrate how that goes through the ground, how it seeps through, and how it mixes together. So very simple project. I just did a paint tray, a sponge, simple paint sponge, a sponge, food colored and water. You mix the water together, make 5 different colors to represent the color coordinated here pollutants. Put the sponge right here on the tray on the higher part. As you pour each pollutant into it, you'll see it soak down into the sponge, saturate the sponge, and then roll out into the deeper part of the tray. This will give you an idea of how it mixes and how it moves throughout the process. Again, you put it in the sponge and they all run down respectively to their areas. How water moves. How did it move? It soaked through the sponge, saturated it, and then ended up. They pool in the bottom. How did they mix? They all mix together. You don't know the interactions of these chemicals. When you mix fertilizer and gasoline, you essentially have made a bomb. So when you have fertilizer byproducts and you have gasoline mixtures, you're creating some really toxic, volatile chemistry makeup components down that we're putting in the water that we have no idea or interactions of how they work. The narcotics and all everybody flushes their old codeine or stuff like that down the toilet. We have no idea how that interacts with the wildlife and the plant life or the other chemicals that are being dropped down in there. And again, this is just when we work through a project in school. We asked the questions in the previous slide, how did it mix up? We asked these questions and start a viable discussion on the topic. And then we talk about how they move down, where did they end up, how do they mix, the interactions. Again, just discussing the viable areas of that topic. Essentially, all the river basin ends up into our drinking water. It soaks down into the aquifer, which is what we draw upon. You say, well, I have city water. Well, the city water gets it from the river. It just doesn't magically appear into the water towers. It comes through a processing plant to which they treat it and everything else, but they don't have the ability nor the testing facilities to either test, treat, or eliminate more than 2/3 of the pollutants that come through. So what? Don't drink the water, right? We have to have water to cook. We have to wash our food. We have to brush our teeth, wash our face, bathe, anything. All of this is contaminated water. So when you have all of this, do you cook your food or are you going to use bottled water from that? And eventually, where is that bottled water coming from? Washing your food. That's the big thing in the foreign countries that gets you. Everybody enjoys a salad. Well, the salad is one of the dirtiest foods you can eat. It contains the bacteria and holds on to it a little further. And so when you wash it in contaminated water, you're hanging on to it. If you brush your teeth, well, you're putting the contaminants into an oral surface of your body, whether it be your eyes, your teeth. You have oral surfaces that you are using contaminated water. So it's not just a matter of drinking the water. So we all have to choose what we're going to do about the pollutants and aquifers. When you start thinking about it, everybody knows about the Flint water debacle and the resolutions that have or have not come from that. They still have not resolved the issue there. They still haven't been able to drink their water. They still don't have a viable water source for that population. And this is something that we have as well. So, in saying this, we need to review and decide what comes next. How will it change? What can you do? And be part of the process. You're either part of the problem or part of the process of solution. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think I tried to give a lot of information very quickly, but something to think about and maybe to process and perhaps make small changes of what we can do to make our water source better for us and the future of our children and our grandchildren. Thank you so much.